Take a look. We have it right there. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? That is Myisha Hines-Allen. She played with the Lynx before. She played with the Dallas Wings, and she may be the next domino to fall. As she posted this, where she basically scratched out the Dallas Wings logo, and she used the Indiana Fever colors, you guys.
A single image just sent the entire WNBA landscape into a state of absolute chaos. It wasn't an official press release or a polished marketing campaign. It was a messy, low-resolution Instagram story from Myisha Hines-Allen that told a story the Indiana Fever weren't ready to go public with yet. By scratching out the Dallas Wings logo and replacing it with the unmistakable red and orange of the Fever, she didn't just hint at a trade, she announced a takeover. This isn't just about moving a veteran power forward from one city to another. This is the first major signal of how the Fever plan to protect their billion-dollar asset, Caitlin Clark, from the physical onslaught she's been facing since day one. The move comes at a time when the Indiana front office is being scrutinized for every breath they take. For months, fans have watched as rivals like the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces stacked their rosters with Avengers-level talent.
Myisha Hines-Allen, I think, would be a solid addition, okay? We have to forget about, this isn't about big names, okay? This is about getting quality pieces that can fit into a role and help. She had a down year last year, but one thing Myisha Hines-Allen does, she brings toughness. It ain't gonna be no punking her. It ain't gonna be no bullying her. We need more we need a goon squad, okay? We already know a hit was sent out on Caitlin Clark. She was the most targeted player in the WNBA for the last 2 years.
While Indiana seemed content to stay quiet. But that silence was deceptive. Behind the scenes, the Fever have been dismantling the old version of this team, piece by piece. They let Natasha Howard walk away without a fight. They refused to bite on Kelsey Mitchell's massive contract demands. They are clearing the decks for a very specific type of roster, and Myisha Hines-Allen is the blueprint for what comes next. But why her? Why a player who had a statistically down year in Dallas? The answer isn't found in the box score. It's found in the bruises Caitlin Clark carried through her rookie season. We all saw it. The mid-court shoves, the accidental elbows, and the targeted hits that became a weekly occurrence. The Fever were labeled soft by analysts and fans alike. They had the talent, but they didn't have the teeth. They needed someone who wouldn't just play the game, but someone who would enforce the rules. In the league, there are players you play against, and then there are players you dread facing. Hines-Allen is firmly in the second category. She brings a specific brand of get-back that Indiana has been missing. When Caitlin was being hounded by the league's most aggressive defenders, who was there to set the hard screen? Who was there to let the opposition know that there would be a price to pay for those cheap shots? Usually, the answer was no one. That era of Indiana basketball is officially over. Hines-Allen has a reputation for being one of the most physically imposing players in the paint. She doesn't just block shots, she moves people out of her way. And for a team that is trying to build a dynasty around a generational shooter, having a bodyguard isn't a luxury, it's a survival requirement. But the story gets even more complicated when you look at the financial gymnastics happening in the front office. The Fever are playing a high-stakes game of poker with their cap space. While other teams are handing out million-dollar contracts like candy, Indiana is being incredibly stingy. They've decided to put all their chips on 3 players: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull. Everyone else is being brought in on prove-it deals or short-term contracts. It's a strategy that prioritizes the future over the present. A move that suggests they aren't looking to just win a playoff game next year. They're looking to own the league by 2027. This financial discipline is why they were willing to let players like Azura Stevens sign massive deals elsewhere. They didn't want to be locked into a long-term commitment that would hamper them when it's time to truly go all in. Hines-Allen fits this perfectly. She's a veteran who has been to the mountaintop, winning a championship with the Washington Mystics in 2019. She knows what a winning locker room looks like, and more importantly, She knows how to be a star in her role. She's not coming to Indiana to be the leading scorer. She's coming to do the dirty work that stars like Clark and Boston shouldn't have to worry about. However, there is a lingering shadow over this entire plan, and it wears a coach's whistle. The hiring of Stephanie White was met with massive praise, but it also raised some serious tactical questions. White is a disciple of the half-court grind. Her teams are historically slow, methodical, and focused on defensive execution. But Caitlin Clark is a fast-break phenom. She wants to push the pace, pull up from the logo, and turn every game into a track meet. If White tries to force this roster into a slow, grinding system, all the toughness in the world won't save them. The addition of Hines-Allen actually helps bridge that gap. While she's a physical force on the paint, she's also a stretch four who can knock down the three ball at a 35% clip. This is the floor spacing that was non-existent at times last season. When Aliyah Boston is being double-teamed in the post and Caitlin Clark is being trapped at the perimeter, you need a release valve. You need someone who can catch, shoot, and make the defense pay for leaving them open. If Hines-Allen can regain her 2020 form, where she was an all-second-team talent, the Fever might have just found the most underrated signing of the offseason. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, NaLyssa Smith. For a long time, Smith was seen as the future of the Indiana frontcourt. She's young, athletic, and has flashes of brilliance. But the rumors of her being unhappy or out of sync with the new direction of the team have been deafening. Adding Hines-Allen almost certainly moves Smith to the bench or to the trade block. It's a cold, calculated move by the front office to prioritize fit over potential. They aren't interested in waiting for players to develop their defensive IQ anymore. They want veterans who can execute the scheme right now. This leads us to the upcoming draft, where Indiana holds the number 10 pick. The speculation is already heating up about the UCLA connection. Whether it's Charisma Osborne or another versatile wing, the Fever are clearly looking for players who can defend multiple positions. They want a lineup where there are no weak links for the opposition to exploit. Imagine a defensive shell featuring Aliyah Boston at the rim, Hines-Allen at the power forward, and a lockdown wing at the small forward. That's a nightmare for any offense to navigate. That is the question that keeps Fever fans up at night. The WNBA is in an arms race. The New York Liberty have created a super team that looks nearly invincible. The Las Vegas Aces are still the gold standard of chemistry and talent. If Indiana is only adding role players while the rest of the league is adding superstars, are they wasting the most valuable years of Caitlin Clark's career? Clark isn't a wait-and-see type of player. She's a competitor who wants to win every time she steps on the floor. If the front office isn't aggressive enough, that tension between the star and the management could become a major storyline. The locker room culture is the final piece of this puzzle.
Last season was filled with whispers of jealousy. The Caitlin Clark effect brought millions of dollars and eyes to the league.
But it also brought a spotlight that some veterans weren't ready to share. Hines-Allen is a different breed. She's a player who has already made her name. She's been in the trenches. She doesn't need the headlines. She needs the wins. Bringing in a veteran of her caliber is a direct message to the rest of the locker room. Fall in line, do your job, and let's win. As we look toward the start of the next season, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the Hines-Allen move pays off, the Fever will be a top 4 seed that no one wants to play in the postseason. They'll have the shooting, the post presence, and most importantly, the toughness to survive a 7-game series. But if she struggles, or if the coaching staff can't find a way to balance the pace of the offense, the Fever will find themselves stuck in the middle of the pack once again. The WNBA is changing faster than anyone expected. The days of small market teams being able to slowly rebuild through the draft are over. The era of the super roster is here, and Indiana is trying to build one through a combination of luck, timing, and calculated aggression. Myisha Hines-Allen might not be the name that sells the most jerseys, but she might be the player that allows Caitlin Clark to finally play without a target on her back. In the end, championship teams aren't just built on talent. They are built on the unseen things, the screens, the box outs, the willingness to take a technical foul to protect a teammate. If the Fever are finally embracing their goon squad identity, the rest of the league needs to be very, very careful. Because when you combine a generational shooter with a group of players who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty, you don't just get a winning team. You get a dynasty that can't be pushed around. So, as we wait for the official confirmation and the jersey reveal, we have to ask ourselves, is this the move that changes everything for Indiana? Or is it just another what-if in a league that is moving toward a future we've never seen before? One thing is for certain. The next time someone tries to send a message to Caitlin Clark on the court, they're going to have to go through Myisha Hines-Allen first. And that is a battle very few people are going to win. The vision for the Indiana Fever is finally starting to come into focus, and it looks a lot tougher than anyone expected. Get ready, because the Boone Squad is officially reporting for duty, and the WNBA will never be the same.